Hey everyone, thank you for joining me again. I have currently 24,143 kilometers, and the last time I changed my oil was at 19,154. So that's a difference of exactly 5,000 kilometers. So I'm going to do a quick oil check with you guys and just go over what I'll be doing and why I'm changing the oil so quickly. So 5,000 kilometers obviously is not much, right? It's supposed to be good for about 10,000 kilometers. And yeah, so just wanted to go through some of these things with you guys, and do appreciate your following me on this series of oil dilution, oil changes, and maintenance on the Civic and CRV, so I do appreciate that. So I'm going to do the oil check with you guys again. Here is what the oil looks like. To me, it doesn't seem that dark. The CRV after 5,000 kilometers was way darker than this. It was way darker for sure. It was almost like, almost black. And so I have a feeling that this was the time, this oil change was the time when I got Honda to do a drain and fill for me, meaning that I complained about the level being high at that 19,000 range, and basically I got my oil change with them, and I complained about the oil being high, like dilution. So I got them to change just the oil, like they drained the oil and then filled it back up with new oil, right? Anyways, I'm gonna just check it again just for fun. That's where the level is at, so you can see that it's about right where it should be. When I complained to them about being high, it was into the metal, like above this full line all the way into the metal. And the gas smell was apparent in the oil. Right now, it doesn't smell like gas. So if you guys have been following my videos, take a look at what I've done to mitigate the oil dilution, and then you can continue watching this series, this video for oil change. There's no, you can see that there's no nothing like milky or anything like that. So that's what you want to see in the oil cap. And the smells just like oil. So while the oil is not very dirty, I might just do the oil change a little bit later, like leave it till maybe another 1,000 kilometers or so, because what happened was that I drove the car probably about 1,000 kilometers, and then I checked the oil, and the dipstick was way over into the metal, right? So I complained about it, and they changed the oil last, right? You saw that 19,143 odometer reading oil change. So they did the oil change last. So that means they either overfilled it, or there was fuel dilution, and there was, because I could smell the oil or the gas in the oil. So that's where I'm at, and I believe I brought it back to them. I'm gonna say about 1,000 kilometers, so that means I'm gonna just wait another 1,000 kilometers. The oil looks super clean to me, right? That's like, yeah, I mean, surprising, because compare that to the CRV, like I said, that's super clean. So this time, like I said, I'm gonna go with the Baldwin filter, and this filter does certainly look like it's a better quality than the Fram made OEM Honda one. So that's what I'm gonna go with, and then I'm gonna go with the Kirkland 020 Full Synthetic. As you can see, is Dexos 1 certified, as well as the ILSAC GF6A certification. So that's the newest, latest ILSAC certification, and that's the one that Scotty Kilmer says to use for these DGI Turbo Engines. So this is what I'm going to be using. I got a really good deal on this. So I think I have about 4 bottles of these. So it's going to last me a little while, at least 4 or 5 oil changes, right? Because there is 4.73 liters here. This engine only takes about 3.5 liters. So certainly I can do at least 5 oil changes. And I'm gonna try this Baldwin filter. So yeah, it'll be a fun one. Stay tuned. All right, so I've got a bright idea. The Odo is at 24,143. So what I'm gonna do is take out some oil and do like a dab. And I do a little bit more. As you can see, it does have, you know, some of that dark carbon look to it. But what my plan is to put some Marvel Mystery Oil into the crankcase, all right? I know some of you guys don't like Marvel Mystery Oil, but I actually trust it in the crankcase. I'm gonna not put the full, I think they call for about 4 ounces for this size of engine, but I'll probably put just 2 and see if it cleans it out. Meaning if it does clean it out, that means the oil is gonna get dirtier. And then my next pull, I'm gonna probably do about, run it at about 1,000 kilometers. So that's probably about 2 gas tanks. And then I'll take another dab test and then, you know, let it sort of soak into the paper, and then I can you know, do a comparison side by side and see which one's darker. I'm sure the Marvel Mystery Oil will be darker, but how much darker? That's the question, with only about 2 ounces. All right, so here's my Marvel Mystery Oil. I'm only going to be putting 2 ounces in because I don't think this engine's that dirty compared to this CRV. The CRV is the one I'm having more problems with, but regardless, I think I should take care of this car as well. This bottle is 2 ounces, and as you can see, is full. So, so there's a little bit more than 2 ounces. So that's where the crank case is. So I'm gonna pour that in there. Let it run for about, you hear that little gurgly sound? Anyways, I'm gonna let it run for about 1,000 kilometers, maybe less, and basically make that pull of oil to see how much of the oil got dirty, or rather how much cleaning happened, right? So then, yeah, I'll keep you guys updated to see how it runs too. I just wanted to do a few notes about the Marvel Mystery Oil. I did a fair bit of research into it. Marvel Mystery Oil has been around for a long time. We're talking about decades. And if you could take a look at the, you know, what it claims, it says improves compression power miles per gallon, lubricates upper cylinder for smoother idle, and keeps the engine clean from sludge. And it's for use in conventional, synthetic, 2 and 4 stroke oil, and is okay for all gas, diesel, and ethanol fuel blends, right? So it can be used both in the oil as an oil additive, and also in your gas as a fuel additive, in which case it helps lubricate the upper cylinders and lubricate things like your, you know, the fuel pump, because you obviously have things like the fuel pump, the injectors, and believe it or not, you can actually lubricate the injectors, because if you look at how the injectors work, this stuff can help with operation and keep it nice and clean. And when it's in the oil, it will clean all the sludge, right? Varnish, whatever it may be. I don't think I have much in here right now, but who knows? I actually don't have a borescope, so maybe one day I will buy one or borrow one or something and see what's going on in the cylinders, right? So this will help keep the engine clean. The makeup of this, I think there was talks about there's a certain percentage of it is like 30% started oil, and that 30% is actually wintergreen essential oil. And I know it sounds silly, but if you've ever smelled this wintergreen oil before, it smells a little bit like peppermint. It's certainly a minty smell, and it also smells a little bit like root beer. That's what it's a sweet, aromatic smell, and it's distilled from the leaves of the wintergreen plant. And yeah, so if you actually smell it, it has that, sweet, sweet type of smell to it, and it smells the same as the marble mystery oil, right? It's pretty cool. Wintergreen oil has interesting uses. You guys look it up. It actually sort of conditions rubber. It's able to dissolve things. It actually dissolves really fast. So I haven't tested yet, but it's quite flammable. So if I spread that on my skin there, you can see that I actually pretty much dissolves straight away. And it has a bit of a after feel to it. It's like a oil type, similar to, really similar to like stuff like tea tree oil and peppermint oil, lavender oil, right? And yeah, so you see that it's all dissolved already. It's basically disappeared. Either that or it went into my skin, right? So that's that's just a little bit about Marble Mystery Oil. I've used it in several engines before. There's mechanics out there that do like it. There's one YouTuber, Ford Boss Me, and he's done a lot of videos on Marble Mystery Oil. I think he may have a sponsorship from them, but maybe not. I don't, certainly I don't, but I put this in the fuel as well as an additive, and it certainly does sort of help with I think I did a video a few months back about the ticking noise. It is an oil, right? So it will help lubricate certain things in the upper part of the cylinders, the top end, including your fuel pump and fuel rails and all those things that can cake up with sludge or whatever, right? Certainly the injectors. I think the injectors is one of the main ones that this can help with, because it does contain an oil, yet it's still flammable. So I think seafoam probably will work the same. I have some seafoam as well. I have used seafoam in this engine as well. And there's Duralube upper cylinder lubricant, but the Duralube seems very oily. Like it's almost as if you're adding oil into your gas, and I don't really want to do that. This stuff is very viscous. It's pretty much like oil, so I sort of trust it a little bit more. It seems more flammable as well. So obviously you want to put something in your gas tank that is flammable as well, right? And I mix it up with PEA, polyether amine, PEA cleaner, and that supposed to clean out the carbon deposits of the DGI engines, especially when you have turbo. And I certainly do think that this can help the turbo as well. Why? Because whoever you guys, most of you guys probably leave the auto stop start on, meaning that every single time you go to a stop light, if conditions are right, your engine will stop, right, to save fuel and sort of lessen the environmental carbon emissions and whatnot, right? But the problem when you do that is that illustrated in my previous video, as one of my previous videos as well, is that when you do that, the whole engine stops. Also, what stops is the fuel or oil pump. Like your oil pump actually stops as well, right? So the oil pump stops, and I believe your turbo is just right in front here, right? The turbo is just right in here. The oil stops, and the oil also stops in your turbo section. Let me see if I could get a better view. You see I think that's where the turbo is, I believe. That's where your exhaust is. Better get a nice view. That's where your exhaust is, and basically turbos get very, very hot, and they spin extremely fast, right? And when your engine turns off, basically the oil sort of stays where the bearings are for the turbo on the exhaust side and the intake side, and both sides get extremely hot, and it coats the oil. It basically burns the oil, and basically damaging the oil. When if you guys ever heard of turbo timers, right? The reason why people have turbo timers back in the day, I don't even know if it's a thing anymore, but the turbo timer, what it does is that it keeps your engine running after you turn off the car for a certain amount of time without you monitoring it. So the idea is that you would turn off your ignition, and then afterwards the turbo timer keeps your engine on for about a minute or two, whatever you set it at, right? And it depends on how aggressive you've been driving. The more aggressive you've been driving, the longer you should keep your engine on after you turn off the engine, right? So what happens is that your engine will keep idling, in which case your oil pump will keep on circulating oil, in which case the oil helps cool down the turbos. That's very, very, very important for turbos. And it's the silliest thing, I think, right? I've been preaching this to turn off that silly auto idle stop for months now, and basically if you turn it off, like I said, your oil stops circulating and stops cooling down the turbo. And as you know, if you guys ever heard of heat soak, right? It is a thing. A heat soak is when your engine bay is so hot that everything in the area is soaked by the heat. And then if you turn off your engine, the heat keeps rising and rising and rising, right? And basically you're basically baking something in here. And typically you're baking your parts, your plastic, your turbo, your oil. You're basically cooking your oil, and that's really bad for your oil. That's why I'm changing my oil so quickly, meaning I'm changing my oil every 5,000 kilometers, which is about 3,000 miles, right? And that's why Scotty Kilmer and all the other mechanics are recommending shorter oil change intervals, right? So that's just a little bit about the oil thing. I just wanted to go through that so that there's no confusion, and I'm not adding this in for nothing. This stuff actually will also seep into your pistons. Oil will seep up, and also the gas will seep down, so it becomes integral part of the engine, and it will certainly go into your recirculation system for what's that thing called, the EGR, right? Exhaust gas recirculation. That stuff, whatever is that is not burnt, right? Or even if it's burnt, it remnants of it will go back into the exhaust gas recirculator, in which case it goes back into your intake valves. So it pushes it in back, in which case that's where a lot of the carbon buildup is, which is in the back of your intake valves. So that will clean that. Essentially, this will get there, right, in the form of oil, and there are detergents that will help the caking slow down at least, right? So yeah, I think I'm gonna post this video and then do the driving of it for about 1,000 kilometers to get the oil and Marvel Mystery Oil in the crankcase to clean it up a little bit more, and then I'm gonna do a dab test for you guys to take a look at it, what the oil looks like compared to right now, and then afterwards I will do the oil change and go through that all with you guys, and then show you how much oil has drained, just exactly I have done with the CRV, and then you guys can tell me what if those 3 remedies that I've been preaching has helped or not, and whether you guys should try it as well. And please give me some feedback if you guys have any ideas, any rebuttals, any comments, whatever. Keep the YouTube channel sort of active. It'll certainly help with the YouTube algorithm and get more likes and get more subscribers and so on and so forth, so I can keep doing these videos for you guys. Have a great night, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.